We're now live before we do some serious green tea practice. Woohoo! I'm super excited. I'm always excited. What can I say? Day 35 of our daily tea practice together. Daily. Have you even seen your mom that much every single day? Have you even seen your best friend that much every single day? I sure haven't. I feel really bad. But I have the best friends in the world, and we have you guys, our best tea friends. So welcome to day 35 of tea practice here at Tea Curious. Today's session is brought to you by Tea Sleuth, who's already in chat actually, who requested that we do a green tea brewing techniques kind of lowdown. So we're going to be doing 6 different approaches to the same green tea. The green tea we'll be using today is a Siamidori Sencha from Tea & Whisk. It's a local tea shop here in Vegas. Just a very standard kind of off-the-cuff Sencha. I just picked one that's very kind of, number one, I know this tea really well, and then number 2, it's a very standard Sencha that I think most people would be able to kind of pull from their stashes if you have any kind of Sencha at all. Yeah. Essentially, that's why we're using it. Yeah. So hi Eric, how's it going? David Bess is here with us too. Tea Blossom, 23 Axolotl, Asulite, Jeremy, who I've already spoken to this morning. We messaged Jeremy in the middle of our grocery store run. We saw maple water on the grocery shelves and we're like, oh my god! So as Americans who have been slowly falling in love with maple anything, you know, we got excited. That's partially why we're a little late today actually, is that extra 4 minutes being like, do I get it? Where is it actually, Steven? I almost want to rep that maple water. It's very good. So we're pretty happy.
They're marked down too.
Yeah, they were marked down. Look at this stuff. $1.19 for maple water. It was totally worth it. So I'm sorry for being 4 minutes late, but we got out for with 7 of these for like $10. So we're really happy. Yeah. Gabby's here too. Esther's here. Welcome, welcome. We're gonna start just by preheating everything we're gonna be using today. I guess. No, we'll preheat it as we go. Yeah, let me just tell you guys what's going on. 6 different preparations of the same green tea we're doing. So the first thing we'll do is we'll start with a very simple bowl brew. This is probably the most kind of low-key, easygoing, relaxing, convenient, and just kind of kick back and relax brewing style. And then we'll do a tall glass brewing, again of the same tea. So pretty similar. We're both going to be leaving the tea inside the vessel for it to brew. And then we'll go to actually we'll switch these. Yeah, I want to do this one first. We'll do the Gaiwan, and we'll do 2 different versions of the Gaiwan brewing style. We'll do more leaves with less water, which I think a lot of people will tend to do a lot at the very beginning of the Gongfu tea journey. When I first started doing Gongfu, I was doing like lots of leaf, as much leaf as possible, like 7, 8, 9 grams, and then whatever water, and then pouring out very quickly. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do a low leaf, high water ratio. Same Gaiwan, same tea, just see if there's any difference there. And then we'll use, we'll pour into these different pitchers to compare. Then we'll do a softer brew with a Kyushu, lower temperature, more gentle. And then finally we'll do that pour over technique that we tried a couple days ago. But this time with a Sencha, because we haven't tried it with Sencha yet. So yeah, we got quite a bit of work with us today, but that's alright. Like I said in the Discord, for those of you who are on there, I don't recommend that you do this within the space of 1 hour or even an hour and a half. But it's a good way for you to just kind of get a lay of the land of the options that you have when brewing tea. And then if you see something you like here, or you like the sound of the result or something like that, you can try it by yourself at home and take a couple hours to kind of dig into the technique. But we're just going to go through a really fast kind of sweep of all of these techniques so that we can see that there are really big differences that we can make from the same leaves just based on yourself. Because of course, we spend a lot of time buying tea, we spend a lot of time shopping, choosing, which one's the best, I really want to try that, I wonder if the tasting notes are going to add up, and, and then we spend a lot of time choosing our teaware, our water, and then there's you. Yeah, there's you. And how well you can brew using the same everything. And so what we'll do today, I was thinking about doing like cold brew style too, but everything we'll do today will be using hot water. So it's instead of relying on your kettle to help you set the temperature, I'm going to show you ways that you can lower the temperature just using the same boiling water. I'm kind of lazy, I don't like setting my temperature to certain amounts. I just want to work with the water that I have to get the result that I want. And you can do that as well. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Let me say my hellos before we get started. For those of you, hey guys, we're in Nevada, we're not in Vermont. Tea Traveler's here, Gabby's here, good morning you guys, or good evening. Over on the other side of the pond, Jin and T is here, it's been a while. Nice to see you, Jin. Heidi B. Mary, Benoit is here. Thank God I know how to say Benoit's name now. Look how far we've come! Live's Film, and Dino Lencioni is here. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, let's get started. Benoit, let's start with the technique that you wanted to look at. And I set up a kind of which topics would you guys like to see in this last week we have together doing daily practice. And Benoit asked me to do bowl brewing. And we do have a longer bowl brewing treatment on YouTube. We test different kinds of bowls to see which one worked the best, I think was what we did. It's going to show you how to bowl brew, but I'm going to show you how to do it again today really quick. And again, all of the stuff we're doing today is going to be using the same tea, which is the Saimidori Sencha from Tea and Whisk. It's an organic sencha, very, very balanced, kind of well-rounded flavor. A tea I know really well. Again, I always say this, but just to reiterate, if you're doing experiments, use a tea that you know pretty well. So if something weird happens, you're like, hey, like, what happened, stranger? Like, what happened to you? It's like if Steven woke up in the morning and had pink hair. I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, that's the best metaphor I could possibly come up with for that.
Got it.
Jin is having a good start to the tea practice. She's going to try the matcha and jasmine tea experiment. It's a safe one. Really, really good results. Marco from Steep Tea is here as well. And Le Matin. It's tea. I'm like, do I drop the very last consonant too? Okay. Bowl brewing, number 1. So preheat your bowl, number 1. This bowl is from Song Tea. It's a Taiwanese-made bowl. But you don't need a fancy bowl. You know, it doesn't have to be expensive. One of my favorite bowls is from IKEA. It's their, whatchamacallit? Feldspar line of porcelain bowls. This guy is like $2, $3, and it works really, really well. So you don't need a fancy bowl, just make sure you test it. That bowl has actually done really well in our side-by-side tests, but whatever you do, preheat your bowl first. The thing about bowl brew style is that you're not going to cover it, right? You can, if you'd like to, but typically you want this to be kind of like your low mileage, just hanging out, chilling, don't gotta worry about it too much, right? So make sure you preheat, because not only like are you not covering it, but the wide surface area of the vessel means the temperature is going to drop a little bit faster because the air is more kind of exposed to the water, right? So the preheat is especially important with a bowl brew. Usually the more simple your technique is, the more you really have to get the basics down. So preheat. And yes, I will bowl brew sencha. People are like, what? You bowl brew sencha? Don't like leaves come into your mouth? I'm like, you just gotta wait. How much to use? Less than you usually would, or less than you think, okay? So I'm gonna boil this guy just to show you that we will use very hot water for a bowl brew. How is the sencha not turning horrible? If you have a really good sencha, it's gonna stand up to boiling water. I promise, okay? I have really expensive sencha and I'll just pour boiling water over it. And I know a lot of us started in a tea journey with the, epiphany, like, oh my god, we gotta control the temperature of the water based on what the tea is, and that's definitely true. But the secret is that most of the teas in the market are just kind of okay when we start, and so they can't handle the higher temperature water. Once you get into really good sencha, it can take boiling. I'm not saying it's the best way, it's really up to you. Stina and I really will just do boiling. We like the flavors, we like the complexity. that you get from a high temperature brew. But yeah, if you have a good sencha, try a hotter water with it. I promise you it's gonna be okay. And if it's not good, but the sencha's labeled as this like really high quality sencha, there's a problem. I've gotten a lot of like, what do you mean by that? Where you're like, you're gonna make everyone ruin their sencha. Again, it's not that it's the best way. It might not be a preferred way, but it's interesting to see how you can push the boundaries of your tea past what we've been taught, you know? So yeah, and I'm just gonna pour on the leaves. And what's gonna happen here is that for the first couple minutes, number one, this is gonna be too hot to drink, right? But during that time that you're waiting for the bulb brew tea to cool down, the leaves will sink down to the bottom, and that's what we're gonna rely on. And with the sencha here, it's pretty cut up, so I'm trying to brew it pretty hard. You saw that they were kind of swirling with the water. The more that you have that swirling motion with the water, the more the leaves will kind of get jostled up and kind of extracted. I'm okay with that. Here, just make sure that if you don't want to over extract your tea when it's in the bowl, especially a sencha, that's very fine. Try to do like a more gentle pour, but I'm okay with this. This is good. And look! The leaves are already in the bottom of the bowl. So you can really drink that without much issue. That's kind of hot though. So I'm going to set that to the side and we're going to decant that later. We'll do a side-by-side of all of these. That's why I have all my glass pitchers over here. A kind of spin-off on the bowl brew is the tall glass method. And I think, at least from what I experienced, the first vendor to like really popularize this in the West was Verdant Tea. Verdant Tea, who has a wonderful article in 80 Degrees. Who's here? Hi Martin, how's it going? Jing Tea is here too. Mandarin Ojos. Ian from Dottytron is here. How's it going, guys? Let us know what you all are drinking while we're doing this. If you're doing some green tea shenanigans, let us know too. But yeah, Verdant Tea popularized this, I think, back in like 2012, 2013, when they wrote a blog post about it. And they're like, oh, all the Dragonwell farmers do this when they brew tea. And it's similar to the bowl brew, where you want to put your leaves inside the glass and you drink directly from the glass. But here's a difference. Which one do you think will be better for aroma? Which vessel? The bowl, which is short and stout, or the glass, which is taller with a more narrow opening? I'm gonna do the Blue's Clues thing and be like, which one is it?
I can't hear you.
Well, the answer is it's gonna be the taller glass, right? That's because it's just more space for the aroma to kind of travel up. I'm not sure of the physics of all that stuff, but just something long is going to help conduct the aroma back up to you, right? From the very bottom to the top, just from the shape. We can talk about material, but if you're dealing with the same material but different shapes, the taller, longer one will be better for aroma, and that's why the Taiwanese scent cups are very tall and kind of skinny. You've seen those, right? The ones that are used for like Taiwanese tea ceremony. They're very long. I don't even have one of those. I actually don't like them very much. Oh, can we get the ceramics one, Steven? Yeah.
They're not exactly scent cups.
They're not scent cups, but they're tall. Yeah. One of these guys. They look like this. Okay. These are not scent cups. They're very delicious, but very good for aroma, right? So we want to, when we're thinking about these techniques, don't just be like, we're doing experiments. It seems like we're doing that, but what is your goal when you're trying to brew the tea? With a bowl brew, when I'm going to do a bowl brew, I just want to chill. Like, we usually do bowl brew for the rest of the day because we spend this hour and a half like going ham. Yeah, here's the proof. This is our morning tea. It's nothing fancy. It's just a alishan that's tossed into a bowl. Wow, that's really good. We're just chilling, right? So the bowl brew tea has a goal. The tall glass method, we want to take advantage of the aroma bonus we're getting from the glass. So now the glass is pretty warm. if you toss some sencha in there, guess what? That motherfucker is gonna smell so friggin' delicious! So just enough sencha to cover the bottom of the glass. I know that escalated really quickly. But I love dry leaf smell, right? Wow. That's so good. It's just, wow, it smells like fresh corn. That's delicious. Do you even smell this shit? It's so good. Can you do that with a bowl tea? You certainly can, but it's just, you gotta like go down here, you know, and it's just, it's not the right vessel to facilitate the scent. So if you're trying to, let's say, show off a tea to someone who likes aroma, maybe go with the tall glass instead of the bowl, right? Wow, that smells like fresh corn. Fresh corn soup and just salts and marine and floral and so much going on. And that's all before we ever put any kind of water in it. And then what Verdant Tea said in their blog post is that the dragon oil farmers will just put a little bit of water over the leaves to kind of just prime them. And then this also helps with the aroma. That's a different aroma though. So the first one is a dry leaf aroma. Now that it's wet, the wet leaf smell's coming up. So it's a different kind of, you know, different kind of aroma. Wow, that's a lot more beany, a lot more floral, very different. So you have suddenly two different aromatic experiences that you've made for yourself or whoever you're pouring tea with, just from these two steps. You haven't even brewed tea yet. And then from there, we're gonna pour hot water over it. And yeah, I'm still using the same hot water. If you're doing this with sencha, I would recommend not to swirl it around too much, just because the force from the spout kind of dropping into the water is already a lot to extract the tea. It's a nice steady stream. We're having like a pretty decent party in there. You don't want it to go raging in there. Just enough. There we go. And then try not to overfill these so that you have this kind of comfortable place to hold the tea. And here's a benefit of the glass method versus the bowl brew method. I asked Eric from Tea Sleuth if I should do both because I just tend to bowl brew very much. But look at the difference in terms of the just visual impact. This is just beautiful. I feel like the glass brew method is really good for people who need to just get shocked into how amazing tea is. Like the aroma, the wet leaf aroma, then you get to watch the tea leaves dance in the cup. It's just a very beautiful color. That is very, you know, look at the difference in the color between the glass sencha and the sencha in the bowl. Pretty different, right? I'd say this is the more attractive one. Right, Steven? It's just more sexy looking. It's so green, wow. Yeah, so we'll let those to the side. Yeah, actually no, we'll decant the bowl brew tea right now. Just so we can compare what they taste like. Or what they look like, at least. I'm gonna drink directly from these glasses. So yeah, any questions about these first two for now? I know a couple of you popped in the middle. Hidestock, how's it going, my friend? A late good evening from where you are. Shiloh, how's it going? Joe's here. Hi, Joe. It's Holioli. Oh, Claire, I just missed her. She'll just, yeah, we'll go bother her later. Miriam Gomez is here, and Luca V28, and Sylvan 9918. Yeah, all our friends. Oh, and Jarin, who I hopefully can say his name right now. I know I always say that. I grew up with people saying my name wrong all the time. That's why it really matters to me to say people's names correctly. I just hated it. I was just always like, can I just be Sarah? Or Steven? Stephanie? My parents told me they also wanted to be Catherine. I'm like, Catherine? And then I'm like, I'm not a Catherine. So, yeah. Alright, just preheating these. Just to show you what the liquor difference will be in terms of like color. But I am going to drink directly from these because there is a sensory experiential difference when... Ooh, Oh my goodness, I'm just hitting everything. Steven, something breaks. I know Steven's got me. Yeah. So I use less of the sencha in the bowl than the glass, which explains partially why they look so different. Look at how different that is. They're just different small choices in what I'm doing with the tea. Another thing is that because of the glass's very, very small kind of area, when the water is getting poured into the glass, it's causing the leaves to jostle a little bit more, just tumbling a lot, because they're like in a tiny space with a lot of force going. So that force caused the leaves to extract a lot harder than in the bowl. Versus in the bowl, it's kind of like, think about a swimming pool. If like your nasty little cousin just put a hose into the swimming pool, you're not going to feel it from the other side of the swimming pool, right? Because the swimming pool is so big and wide. But if you're in like a little like jacuzzi or something, and then your nasty little cousin put the hose into the jacuzzi, you'd feel it because it's just a small area for the leaves to kind of hang out. So that's why the glass is so much darker than the bowl brew tea. It is a little bit of the amount of tea I use too, but pretty similar. Yeah, so different results there. Yeah, different tastes. So we'll try them out from the bowl, from the glass. Bowl brew tea just tends to be super friendly. Shiloh, you mentioned in your bowl brew session the other day that they tend to be pretty earthy and kind of more grounded. And I'd have to say I agree with that. And there's something about the way you hold as well. Shiloh, I'm going to borrow this from you. Shiloh talked about the different grips you can use when you're holding a bowl. When me and Steven are just chilling, we're usually just, like, I got my bowl in one hand and I got my phone in the other hand and going, you know, I'm just chilling, right? Or you got your Kindle or your mouse and you're just doing something else. Very, very simple. This is very chill. It's almost like you got a mug, right? But if you want to like be super mindful, get centered, kind of make it a more intentful session, just the way you hold the tea bowl will make a difference in how the session feels. And so if you hold it kind of with your hand underneath here, Shiloh used the 2 fingers here. I usually use 3, but I'm going to try that now, Shiloh. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable actually. And then you hold your bowl in place with the fingers, and then you have another hand here. Whenever you use 2 hands in tea ceremony or presentation, pouring, it always looks more formal, always looks more mindful. So if you're kind of hosting people or trying to make something look more deliberate, intentional, beautiful, use a second hand, okay? And then this looks just very different, right? And it creates a different tea, just atmosphere, you know? Imagine having a wine glass from like the coffee mug you use for your daily coffee versus like a really, really nice thin-stemmed wine glass. It's the same wine, but it's going to be a different experience. So play around a little bit with that. Flavor-wise though, very clean, very friendly. It's got very, very nice texture. Something that you'll always be guaranteed to have, I feel like, with bowl brew tea is texture. There's a lot of texture, a lot of heft. You're not going to get thin tea like this, because usually the longer that you brew, the more texture you bring out of a tea. So bowl brew, just by that design, will always bring out some good texture for you. By the way, you remember I used really, really hot water for this? Really, really, really hot water? There's almost no bitterness at all whatsoever. Right, Steven? Confirm. Steven, confirm. Yeah, I almost forgot that we were trying to make a point about the water. This is a sencha, right? It's not a fancy sencha. It's a really good sencha, but it's not like it was picked by monks under the moonlight or anything. It's just a really good sencha, and it took very well to being brewed in boiling water for that amount of time without no bitterness, no dryness, no sourness. I promise, okay? I'm not even just Instagramming. It tastes really, really pleasant. So I dare you to try to use a little bit hotter water for your sencha. Of course, one more thing. It started out hot, but the bowl being so wide allows the water to cool off a lot faster, so it's not like it was at boiling for that amount of time. But yeah, like how low maintenance is that? Just really low maintenance, really easy. And then the best thing is, once you're done, you just gotta wash that stuff out, and then you're done. Last thing about the bowl brew tea, I'm gonna leave a root. Shyla calls it mother water. That's a new term for me, I like it. A little bit of water at the very bottom so that later on if I want to refill it, I can just use that root, which is very flavorful, and work with that so I can preserve the flavor inside the tea. Super easy, super low maintenance. I really, really like bowl brewing tea. The spin-off, the tall glass method. Interestingly, there's more floaties in the tall glass than there is in the bowl. Wow, very different. This one's more punchy, more complex, it's got more aromatic stuff going on. The glass is a little bit more narrow, so even if it is glass, and glass tends to kind of dissipate heat faster. I think it's just kept heat a little bit better because of just how narrow the opening is compared to the bowl. It's a big difference, right? So this tends to keep the tea warmer, so if you really, really hate cold tea, either you can cover your bowl or you can use a tall glass like this to just kind of slow down the rate at which your tea is going cold. But still, even here, there's no bitterness. Okay, maybe like a tiny bit of bitterness, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 3, whereas this one is like a 1 or 0. Very little bitterness. A lot of sweetness, a lot of smoothness, so much texture. Really good. And I love the Gaiwan, I love the Kyushu. I really like playing with the pour over technique we've discovered over the last couple days. But these are just so easy. And then like you just dump that stuff in the sink, and then you put it in the, you know, you can put the glass in just your dishwasher if you have one, or just scrub it out, and then you're done. Very low maintenance. And you still get all the good qualities of like a nice, properly made tea, as long as your tea is good. That's one thing you have to consider when you're doing the bowl brew and the tall glass method, is that you have to use a really good tea that can stand up to this. Whether it's a sencha or a white tea, black tea, whatever, if the tea is good, it's gonna do well with a bowl brew or a tall glass. I promise. If it's not, call up the vendor and be like, you said this was a high grade something, and then tell them to blame Tea Curious because I told you to call them and give them trouble. No, don't do that. Okay. Yeah. All right, so we're on 2 out of 6. Any questions, concerns, comments, teas that you're drinking? I'm just enjoying how good that tea is. Really, really good. I hope you guys are doing okay so far this afternoon. Adrian IP is here. Adrian Nip, maybe. Severino is here. How's it going, my friend? Static E T. Mindful Teas, and Tyler from Hakuna Matala, Stephen P. Wood, and Steep Leaf Shop. Welcome to practice today. We just finished kind of like our first round, which is a simple kind of tall glass brewing style and bowl brewing style. Even if they're both what I guess people would call grandpa style, they are quite different. So test it out. Super convenient though if you have like an office space that you want to make tea really easily without having to bring up all your expensive, you know, gongfu-cha stuff or expensive ceramics. Just do one of those. It's great. Yeah, you can even do that using a mug if you'd like to. If I'm around kids that are running around, I usually put use a handle, mug handle. It's a mug. I speak one language and not very well. That's me. Okay. Next round of tests. We'll do the Gaiwan. So using the same tea, the Saimidori Sencha from Tea and Whisk, kind of standard, like very lightly steamed, right in the middle. I want to test out high ratio of leaf to water versus low ratio of leaf to water. Meaning, does it matter if we load up the Gaiwan with more leaf and then less water and faster steeps? or less leaf, more water, and then slower steeps. I wanted to test this out because when I started doing Gong Fu Cha or using a Gaiwan, whatever you want to call it, I'm not that Kung Fu, so it's just using a Gaiwan. I learned what a lot of us, I think, did in the early 2000s, which was to load up your Gaiwan as much as possible, like pack it, like use like 15 grams, like that's what all the farmers do in China. They like to use a lot of leaf, but we learned how to do kind of like 5 to 10 grams of leaf per 100 ml of water. So in this tiny Gaiwan, something like 10 grams of leaf. And flash steeps. I remember back in steepster days, we would debate like, do you do 5 grams on the first steep? I mean, 5 seconds on the first steep? Or 15 seconds? Or 20? Or 25? And then people would be like, oh, I got much better results on 25 versus 30 seconds in the first steep. And 45 is just way too long. And I was one of those people. I was really counting a lot of those, seconds per steep. And then later on, I've kind of gone more towards using a little bit less leaf and worrying a little bit less about the amount of time I'm brewing, just because I've kind of gotten spoiled, and the teas that we drink tend to be okay if you leave them for 5 minutes because you're too busy looking at the Discord, and I'm like, oh my god. But it's been a while since I've done a really, really high ratio of leaf to water and flash steeps. So I guess we can just call it flash steeping versus just more easygoing Gong Fu styling. Both are Gong Fu, because Gong Fu is just basically making tea with some, some finesse, right? But high ratio flash steeps versus low ratio or less leaf and kind of more easygoing steeps, okay? This is the only one out of these tests that I'm actually going to weigh out, because I will be wanting to see how much tea I'm using. And I will be using the Gaiwan. I'm not going to be using a filter. I feel like the filter seems to interact with the tea in a way I don't like, especially when it's a metal filter. We saw that from the pour over experiment. We switched over to the ceramic filter. You can definitely brew sencha using a Gaiwan. You just gotta practice. I have to practice too. Yeah, let's get this boiling again. Thanks for joining us. This is really fun so far. So much tea going on. I told Steven this is going to be a high dishes kind of day. Shiloh says, it's a style that I encountered a lot in Jiangxi and Yunnan. Need to explore those methods more. Yeah, I wonder what else we're not knowing about just brewing bowl brew style. Sometimes the most simple methods can... you can use the tiniest amounts of adjustments to bring out a different result. For example, my friend Christine is a big fan of the bowl brew style too. And then she has been doing tests on whether or not it matters if you start off the tea with colder water and then you add hot water to that tea in the bowl. So tea, cold water, and then hot water versus tea, hot water, and then cold water, which is really interesting to me. And she says that there is a difference in the results. As you'd expect, I think the cold tea first, cold water first, then hot, is a little bit more mellow, whereas the hot first and then cold is a little bit more kind of lively and bouncy. But I'd have to do that test for myself. I haven't done it yet. But these tiny adjustments, it happens in the farm too. Like everything that happens to the tea leaf from the beginning of its life, from when it grows up into a big tea plant, from being a little tea plant, and where they angle it to face the sun when it's drying, or what kind of wood it is used to fire it. So many minute things happen to your tea before it even came to you. It went through such a journey. So it's no surprise that in our hands too, even the tiniest bits of adjustments can be made to make a difference. That's good. Yeah. It's really, really pleasant. You'd think that it's going to be really bitter, but if it becomes too intense, just put more water. Really, really good. Okay. We'll do the high ratio one first for the Gaiwan. I'm going to use, we'll do 8 grams of tea. That's a lot of sencha. What the hell? We're going to be hyped up today, Steven. I'm going to be able to finish the Puer Love Challenge data today with all this sencha. Which, by the way, that's why I haven't been as active on my messages and Discord is because I'm trying desperately to finish the Pour Love Challenge data. I don't want to show my face in public when that's not done yet. It's almost been a week since the challenge ended, and there's just so much data to comb through. We had over 250 pours shared during that challenge. And I'm pulling data like the origin, the year of the tea, the vendor, the tasting notes. We're making some word clouds about what people said about the teas. It's really, really fun. It's very time consuming. But that means that I've read through every single Pour Love post you guys have shared, posted, every single one. And in some cases, I've even gone to the website to go check out the tea that you posted because I wanted to make sure, you know, what the origin was or what the material was. Was it a blend, a factory tea? So I've been doing a lot of pour study just by reading your notes. I read most of the posts pretty quickly during the Pour Love Challenge itself, but now that I'm compiling the data, we're going really, really deep. So by the end of this, I should be aware of every pour vendor that exists in the universe. Or not. Pretty close. Okay. So we'll do 8 grams of leaf, if that's okay with you guys. 8 grams of leaf in this 100 ml gaiwan. And then when you have this much leaf, you have to remember that 8 grams of leaf will displace 8 ml of water. So really, we're only going to be filling the gaiwan up 90 ml. So instead of 8 grams per 100 ml, in reality, it's more like 8 grams for 90 ml, right? Because the tea takes up space. But you don't got to worry about those measurements. Just be aware that indeed, the more that you put tea in, the less water is also happening on the water side. That's why the differences can be very massive once, you know, 1 gram of tea versus 100 ml of water. You're really working at 1 gram for 99 ml of water. Kind of adds up. Chakra Said, welcome to tea practice today. Jeremy's she's talking in tongues. Facebook 911. What is that? Quick, everyone go log into Jeremy's Instagram. Maybe that's his password. Tyler from Hakuna Matata. Does Facebook 911 call Mark Zuckerberg and the police at the same time? I wouldn't know why though. Why would you want that to happen? Interesting. Shiloh says there's an online bowl brewing class coming up next week via TFAS PDX. Wow. With a Chado practitioner, it's $10 a good price. Yeah, that is a really good price. I don't know why. What? We gotta check that out, Steven. I'd definitely like to check that out. The thing is, even if I learn 1 or 2 techniques in the span of like an hour or 2 spent with someone teaching about tea, it's totally worth it for the price because that technique is with you forever. We're not like Pokemon where we only have 4 techniques and then when you learn a new one, you have to delete the old one. We're humans. We can have as many techniques as we like, and the more techniques and little tea tricks you have, the more control you have over what tea comes out, you know? Okay, so this is preheated. You're gonna have to put a lot of trust in me and my ability to brew sencha in the gaiwan. That's a lot of... What the hell? That's a lot of sencha, you guys. Wow, okay. Wow, it's a lot of sencha. Wow. Steven, have you seen this much sencha in a gaiwan before? Yeah, that's a lot. That's a mound. I'm gonna have to adjust the way that I brew this just for how much leaf is piled up. Okay, so we'll do flash steeps of these at very hot temperatures. I'm gonna preheat this. Needs a little bit more preheat action. Okay. So we'll do the high leaf ratio first. We'll do like 5 steeps in very fast succession, and then we'll stack them, okay? Or no, I will have 5 cups so we can see how it looks like from infusion to infusion. How's that? That sounds fun, doesn't it? Yeah, that sounds really fun to me. Okay. Yeah, this is really good. And then we'll stack it to the side. So whatever I'm gonna brew, and then I'm gonna pour it into the pitcher. I'm gonna take a little bit from each steep so that we know what the progression is for the cups. And then the rest of the infusion, I'll stack it into a pitcher, so we know what the overall kind of performance we got from all of it was. Make sense? Sounds good? Yeah. And again, if you do this, give yourself more than an hour to do all these practice techniques. Just kind of like a nice quick run through of them, rapid fire. And we only got 5 days together of daily tea practice, so got some stuff to cover. Okay, so I'm gonna be really fast with these. Oof, wow, I'm really jostling those leaves. All right. Flash deep, that's not a flash deep, Jesus. Look how little water came out of that gaiwan because of how much the leaf itself is taking up space. Yeah. All right. Making sure I squeeze out all the water. That's another kind of challenge with how much tea is inside with this much ratio. Is not just with sencha, but with any tea that you're brewing, you'll always have more water at the bottom if you have more leaves, because the leaves will kind of hang on to it a lot easier. So just be careful about that, okay? More leaves, more complexity, yes. More oomph, but also sometimes if you overpack the gaiwan, there are some challenges that can come from it. Okay, next steep. I'm doing just flash steeps of these to see how it comes out. Maybe 8 grams was a little bit too much, but we do 8 grams of oolong, you know, all the time. That's a really, really deep green color, by the way. What do you guys tend to do when you use a gaiwan? Do you do really, really fast flash steeps? Do you guys tend to wait a little bit longer? Do you use high leaf ratios, low leaf ratios? Yeah, what are your gaiwan techniques? How do you brew with a gaiwan? There's so much water left at the very bottom, even if I try my best to decant it. Very, very green though, every single time. I'm gonna tilt those leaves, give them a little bit more space. They're just kind of like clogging up each other at the very, very top of the gaiwan. Which, the sencha is doing this in an extreme way, but the same thing is happening when you're packing the gaiwan with a lot of oolong and black tea too. Maybe to a lesser degree, but the same thing is happening. Again, no matter how well I decant the tea, there's still just a little bit left because the leaves will hang on to the tea. They're leaves, they'll hang on to a little bit of water. That's stuff at the very bottom. And so in between each steep, even if I'm going really, really fast, that's continuing to steep the tea, which can make the tea taste more astringent, more bitter, more sour. It's just something else to kind of keep in mind. I find that in switching to a lower leaf ratio, like not packing the gaiwan so much, I get a little bit more control over what the leaves are doing, which is I think why I've switched to that method instead of going like all the way really, really high leaf ratios like I used to do. Whew, this is taking a lot of concentration, you guys. Lots of leaf, lots of hot stuff, lots of breakable stuff. Lots of stuff that's gonna get bitter if I don't pour it out fast enough. Yeah. And sencha with a gaiwan without a filter. I mean, it's working out, right, Stephen? It's like a workout, but with tea. Do you even infuse, bro? Wow, these are all super dark. That's crazy. Dino Lencioni, wait a little longer usually, he says. Tea Blossom. Let's see. 8 grams of sencha in a gaiwan is such a challenge. Yeah, it is pretty challenging, but I find it fun to put myself in these kinds of challenging brewing situations. It's working out though, yeah. Asulaiti, flash steeping 7 to 8 grams, 100 ml for oolongs and pu'ers, and 4 grams to 6 grams for other teas, okay. So pretty high leaf to water ratios as well. Tyler, I'm not good at being relaxed with tea. Even in my gaiwan, I use a scale and timer for every brew. Usually 5 to 7.5 grams per 100 ml. So many different approaches. And the thing is, all of us who have all these different approaches will be brewing the same tea in very different ways. Which is why I love having tea with other people, because the same tea that I know so well, I'm like, holy crap, what even is that? I know that one of the first times we held a blind tasting at Tea Club that I host here in Vegas, Steven brewed me a tea that I swore was a Taiwan Oolong. I'm like, what's a fucking Taiwan Oolong? Like, I can tell it's High Mountain, it's got the High Mountain character, I can tell. I drink High Mountain Oolong all the time, right? And then turned out to be a Japanese kukicha? Like, what the hell? But because of the way he steeps, it came out different. Yeah. Alright. I wish I could show you guys this color better. Look at these colors. Wow. Yeah. Can I have my phone really quick? I want to take a picture of this before. Yeah, let me show you. I'm going to take a picture of this really quick using my phone. I know. How am I broadcasting when my phone's holding you guys up? That's Steven's phone. Okay. And then let me show you the amount of leaf so you guys can see it better. Or I guess I can just pick up the camera and try to angle it, right? Is that too dangerous? Are we gonna drop them again? Yeah, I'm gonna try to pick it up. There we go. Yeah. So first infusion is over here on the left. No, your guys' is left. This left here. First, second, third, fourth, fifth infusion. Pretty dark. Look how much sencha is in the gaiwan. Now my issue is that even being really mindful about trying to get all the water out between each infusion, if you tilt the gaiwan, there's still some water in the bottom. So sometimes you'll see me tilt my gaiwan on the side like this so that the water kind of pools at the bottom and isn't continuing to steep the tea. Yeah. But let's try these out. What is it like to do really fast infusions? Wow, holy crap, what the hell is that? First steep of the flash steep, really, really high relief to water ratio sencha. That's what the fuck is going on? Steven, try that. I have a lot of expletives in me today. I don't know why, but that's an experience. That's like fruity and buttery and marine. It's got everything. It's weird. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. And what's happening is that because of the incredible high leaf to water ratio and the heat, we're extracting a lot. And whatever's there, it's kind of like a snapshot. Yeah, if you're doing gongfu, this is the cake of gongfu, right? You're getting a slice of that stuff. But imagine the slice is all frosting because we're using a lot of leaf. So that small slice is just a small snapshot of what the tea is going to be during its lifetime, but we're getting a lot of it. That's why that's so intense. Wow. It's going to go up from here. A benefit from this is that you're getting a ton of texture, a ton of flavor. Wow, if you want to knock someone's socks off, if you're very careful, using a lot of leaf with a lot of water, it's almost like driving very fast. You're going to get a lot of just oomph from the tea, as long as you can control the car. That's a danger. I did feel pretty kind of overwhelmed by doing this flash steeping method. There's just so much to consider. Are the leaves over steeping themselves? Are they kind of pressing against each other in the gaiwan? This is something we don't think about a lot, but I think I've noticed it with the kyusu. When the leaves are so close together like this and you're pouring, there's weight there. That's heavy. There's like water inside. They're 8 grams by themselves, the leaves itself, but there's also water that's stuck in the leaves. So they're actually quite heavy. I'd like to weigh that out. How much water did they take on? Oh my god, just like a little heap of sencha. What the hell? That's hilarious. Holy crap. Can you guess how much water was taken on by the sencha? It started at 8 grams, right? Now it's at 47 grams. That's a lot of water. So 47 grams is in this like little pot of sencha after we brewed it. The stuff that's on top is pretty safe, right? But the stuff on the bottom has 40 grams of leaf pressing on it, and that's gonna be applying pressure to that leaf and creating a form of extraction. It's weight, right? It's weight. So the leaves on top are like, we're having a good day. The leaves on the bottom are like, it's hot, it's heavy, there's 40 grams of leaf above me, and they're getting extracted, okay? So that's partially why you're gonna get that bitterness if you're allowing the leaves to kind of crush against each other. In a kyushu, you can actually tap the back of the kyushu to kind of put the leaves like back on their kind of feet. But yeah, if you're pouring that gaiwan, this whole time, this stack of leaves was inside this gaiwan like this, right? And so the guys that were on top were like, we're having a really good time. This is great. We can breathe. And then all the guys on the bottom were like squished like this, okay? I know I'm kind of doing some extreme actions here, but I'm just trying to show you what's happening inside that gaiwan. And so they're getting wrung out. And that's extracting more from them. Do we want that kind of extraction? It's up to you, okay? As long as you're aware of what's happening. So that's pretty intense. Yeah, they're just, yeah. Of course, that's a lot because it's sencha. Sencha will tend to take up water a lot quickly. The surface area is really high, so that's why we had like a whopping 40 ml of water coming up in these leaves. If you're doing oolong or pu'er, it's going to be a little bit less. But the same thing is happening, okay? The same thing is happening. Just gotta be mindful of it. Okay, second steep. Whew! Wow! Yeah, I feel the suffering of those leaves on the bottom. Wow. That just tastes like, yeah, the guys on top were still having a good time and steeping evenly, and the ones on the bottom, they're probably just squeezed really, really, really hard. Those are really fast infusions, but no matter how well I quickly just poured out, I think I did a pretty good job at pouring out very quickly. I know it wasn't my speed that was affecting. No matter how good you are at pouring from a gaiwan, you have to consider this lump of leaves are just getting crushed inside. Ugh, tastes like suffering. Wow. The first steep was worth it. The second steep was not. It's very bitter, astringent. And you would think, oh, I just flash steep in the gaiwan. It's not going to be bad. But this bowl brew tea that's been sitting here for 30 minutes now is extremely sweet. That's just very astringent and bitter. Again, remember that we're doing sencha, and we did push it very, very hard. But sometimes it's good to do these extreme experiments so that if you are working with like 6 grams or 5 grams versus 2 grams, you're kind of going to land in the spectrum of the tea, right? Although I think that tea just got to the critical mass that it just started squeezing itself. Oh, God. Ugh. Wow, I didn't know that tea could taste so bad. Jesus. Whew. Yeah. You can also see the proof of that in how cloudy the liquor is. All the fibers in the tea have just been kind of squeezed out by this process. It's a pretty violent process. You know, me putting the water in and then swirling it around, and then when you pour it out, they're kind of like doing this and pressing against each other. So not just the water temperature and the time and the amount of leaves are at play here. There's pressure from the leaves. There's the swirling around of the leaves, kind of, what do you call that? What's the word for that in physics? Centripetal force or centrifugal force? I forget which one it is. The swirly force going in. The swirly force going in, and it's just that thing is going to infuse the leaves more than you even want. Is that okay? It depends on what you're trying to achieve. You just have to be aware of it. And it's when you're aware of all these little factors that you get less surprised when something comes out. Am I surprised? It's pretty bad, but I'm not that surprised. Yeah. Oh, that's suffering again. That's, oh God, I'm suffering too. Maybe it's a taste of my suffering. And in doing this, I was even aware of this effect happening, so I was trying to account for it when I was brewing the tea. If someone had no idea about all this stuff, they would even be less adjusting for the bitterness effect. You know, I was even trying to kind of make it not happen as much, just in the small ways that I was tilting my gaiwan and kind of readjusting it. Okay, the one good side is that the aftertaste is really, really good. It's really lovely. It's just a little bit too much, taste-wise. Yeah, that's very grassy. I can still taste the tea just getting squeezed out. If you want an example of what's happening here, I'm just gonna do it. It's like the whole like, oh, don't squeeze your tea bag because you're applying a physical pressure to the leaves, and physical pressure is not what you want when you're infusing tea leaves, even in really, really good ones. It's gonna bring out all the tanniny, kind of like gross stuff. I bet you that stuff that I pressed out is gonna be really bitter. Come on, guys. Yeah, there we go. So I pressed the leaves, squeezed out all the tea. This is tiny bit of tea that I squeezed out. That's gonna be really bitter, trust me. Oh my god. Wow. Whew. Whew. Things we do for science. Man, okay. So yeah, does that make sense? A lot of stuff going on, but stuff you can kind of think about when you're brewing tea. Yeah. Shiloh says it's centrifugal force. Apparent force that acts outward on a body moving around a center. Yeah. I think that's centrifugal force. Yeah. Joe says taking the hard hits for us. I'm happy to take the hard hits for you, but when you do this, you will learn better if you taste what actually happens. So if you're feeling bored or sleepy one day, take your leaves like a sencha, press them, and then put that water, the tea out into a cup, just so you can think about what it's like that's happening a little bit when you're using too many leaves and they're pressing against each other. That's just a simulation of that. Good steep's a little bit less horrible. Yeah. Okay. Whew. Here you go, Steven. You should try. Well, I'm not even letting you try it. This is a lesson for you too, and a lesson for me. That's why I do these, because I already know, but the more I can remind myself, the more that I'm aware of it whenever I'm making tea. So, yes, this was sencha. It's going to be more extreme than what you're doing with your white tea, green tea, black tea, whatever. But it's still happening. Okay, don't tell me that when you have 7 grams of like chaud pu'er, they're not pressing against each other. But maybe with chaud pu'er it's okay, because the chaud pu'er tends to be very kind of, mellow and sometimes boring. Maybe if you have a really, boring chaud pu'er, doing this where the leaves are pressing against each other might bring out some kind of complexity that you might like. So it really just depends on what you're trying to achieve in the cup. Okay? Whew, wow. All right. We're halfway done, which means that we need to do another stream to finish the rest of these techniques. Oh, questions before we hop on to another stream to finish these techniques. I should have known you were never going to finish it within an hour. There's so many good things to talk about. The next thing we need to do is to do the same tea, we'll say with half the amount of leaves in the same gaiwan. So instead of 8 grams, we'll do... Actually, I want to do 3 grams of sencha in the same gaiwan with boiling water. So I can show you it's not just the amount of tea, it's also the way the leaves are moving in the gaiwan that's affecting your infusion. So yeah, we're going to hop onto that other live in a bit. If you have any questions, let me know. If we need to leave us here, thanks for joining us so far. And you can watch the replay of the second live when it comes up, or, tap through it. But yeah, we'll do the last 3 on the next live. Okay, so we'll see you guys in a little bit before Instagram kicks us off. Okay, hold your horses, okay? Hold them. They're going, nay! We're gonna get so much work done today, Steven. We're so caffeinated and L-theanine up. Yeah, wow. Look at how much green tea that is. Can you imagine this was 47 grams? Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, we're on the second half of today's green tea practice. Welcome back, Rabin and Esther, Mel and Maron. I didn't say hi to you in the first one, so hi. Welcome and welcome back. Rachel's here from Raw Rager, Tyler from Hakuna Matala. You drink a lot of sencha, dude. You should do this and press all the nasty stuff from the sencha sometime. It'll teach you something. I don't know what, but I didn't even include these guys. See, like, whew. I wish we had a term for all this stuff. What would you call this? Leaf behavior inside the teapot. Something like that, right? Anyway, yeah, we just finished our test of high ratio leaf brewing in a Gaiwan. Definitely a kind of exaggerated test, but it shows you what's going on. I think I'm glad I did it. I don't have regrets. Regrets isn't something in my vocabulary, but I definitely am happy that Steven's here with me to drink the rest of this. And we actually try to find really creative ways to use the tea at the end of the session that we don't drink. Maybe we'll make it into like some iced tea. Steven? Yeah, we'll make some really good iced tea, I guess, with all this extra green tea that's here. By the way, the green tea we're using is actually a very good green tea. It's just that previous leaf material, I mean the previous high leaf ratio test is just very, very, very extreme. We'll do another round of the Gaiwan now with slightly lower leaf ratios. We'll use 3 grams instead of 8. Yeah, we'll use 3 grams instead of 8. Do you want to do a flash steep on that, or do you want to go let it sit for a little bit longer? Let me know what you'd prefer to test out. Leaf ratio lower with flash steeps, or would you like us to let the leaves kind of sit a little bit longer in the Gaiwan? They're both different treatments. One is just testing leaf ratio, so we'll do the flash steeps like the first round. But if you want to let the leaves steep a little bit lower, that's more close to how I brew in a Gaiwan these days, which is to not really, to leave them quite long, relatively speaking. I don't tend to do flash steeps very much these days. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We got some water going. Today was water day for us at Tea Curious, so we popped over to our water store, got some reverse osmosis water, and formulated it. I'm so happy using our water. Really, really good. Joe, welcome back. Tea Blossom, welcome back. Nyanke Esbecker, welcome back. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that's intense. And we're not even camping. It's so intense. But, hey, Steven, did you get the joke I sent ya? Cool. The one thing about sencha is it's such a pain to clean. When it's oolong, you just like, take the leaves and just toss it, and it's just so easy, but it's okay. I get cranky when I'm drinking really, really bitter tea, I think. Yeah. Dina Lencioni, welcome back as well. What are you guys drinking as we're going through these green tea adventures? Let us know. We will be going through so many grams of this time Midori Sencha, which I have gone through so many grams of this before. This was the tea that I used for last year's Tea Masters Cup, for the tea mixology section. I made a Sencha drink with it. I brewed it really, really hard, knowing it could stand up to high temperatures. Not to bitterness though, just, to bring out more intensity. Sencha with bell pepper, orange as a citrus, and then an egg white foam on top to cut through the bitterness of the sencha was good. And then I think I used lavender and fennel as a kind of sweet component to it. Yeah. It worked out okay for someone who's never made a tea drink before, or any drink of any kind. Claire, welcome back. Gabby, welcome back. Can you feel my suffering from the other side of the city, Gabby? Whew. Yeah. So this next setup we'll do is, we'll do how I brew usually, which is a lower leaf ratio and not quite flash steeps. Maybe we're gonna do, like a minute. And the idea of flash steeping, I think, came up because when you're using really, really high temperature water, you don't want it to go bitter. But it's not just temperature that causes things to get bitter. Sometimes it's also your layout of the teapot, how you pour, etc. So I'll just compare and contrast. Yeah. Sencha Nagaiwan. Claire asked, what did I miss? Y'all should tell her what she missed. She definitely missed a really good part of the previous stream. A lot of detail going on there. I recommend you watch the replay of the previous live Claire, because we talked a lot about something we don't see a lot when people discuss tea brewing, which is the weight of the leaves as they're being poured out of a vessel. Happens with a kyusu too. It's actually how I found out about it was these kyusus will have these walls, and then when you're pouring, sometimes you're pouring really fast, you're like, I want to get the tea out. But when those leaves are pressing against each other, they really extract more than what you're expecting. That's how I found out about that. And I haven't confirmed it yet with someone who knows more about tea than I do, but I know what I'm tasting, and that's pretty much it. That's all I can share with you. Okay. Decidedly less leaves this time. Let's not kill ourselves. And then I'll show you also the difference of the infusions. We'll do 3 grams of leaf. The last time we did 8 grams of sencha. Now we'll do 3 grams of sencha with longer steeps in the gaiwan. Sounds good? Rachel's having some Sunveil Qianliang. That's a really nice heicha from our local shop. This tea is also from our local shop, Tea and Whisk. If you guys ever make it down to Vegas, I highly recommend going down to that tea shop. I don't work there, but my friend Leo is the owner, and he is so kind to let me host my tea workshops there, so we really like it. If any of you are starting to get into tea, or even are into tea, I think one of the most underrated things to have is not a gaiwan, not a temperature control kettle. It's a local tea shop. Even if they're not like the most, like, oh my god, they're descended from like 5 generations of tea shops. Even if they're not, okay? When you have a local tea shop, you're able to sample a lot better. You have someone you can ask questions. And a limitation of the online kind of shopping experience is that whatever is being said on the description of the tea is all you get from the description of the tea. You can't ask for clarification at all. And so I've seen, you know, descriptions go up where a milk oolong is supposed to be creamy, but if you ask the vendor in person, it's like, oh, it's not creamy like sugar, or like, you know, like a milkshake. It's just creamy in terms of texture. And it's those kinds of, you know, nuanced discussions that I think are really important in tea and that really get you like through the door very quickly. I wish I had a local tea shop when I was growing up. And I get it, like, local tea shops will often be a little bit more expensive than online vendors, but they will save you so much time and money in terms of exploration. I know Joe, if you're here, Leafy Green is your local tea shop over there in Massachusetts. I'm really glad that you have them over there. Because I'm like, damn, Joe's going really fast. Our friend Joe, who's Fish Anywhere, yeah. I'm like, damn, he's going so fast in terms of, like, the tea exploration. Because, yeah. I find that the people who have that local tea shop experience learn very, very quickly. And yeah, it's good. It just took me so long to learn all this stuff because I was learning all by myself and relying on the internet and stuff, and not just the internet. Like, I wasn't talking to anyone. I was just reading stuff, and it's just not enough. That's why for so long I was like, oh, you can't brew green tea at higher than 175 degrees Fahrenheit. You just can't. And then now I'm like, whatever works. Or like, I don't know. There's so many examples of that. So many examples. There's that whole milk oolong thing where people are like, oh, milk oolong is grown using leaves that have been steamed in milk. If you're in a like group environment or conversational environment, you're less likely to take that fact and be like, that's a fact. That's what's in the tea dictionary. When you open up milk oolong, there's a picture of a milk steamer with some leaves on top of it, which for, again, a long time I was like, wow, that makes sense. Milk oolong is so milky. They have to put some milk in there. When you're surrounded by more people, more interaction, more hands-on tea experiences, you're less likely to kind of stick yourself to one frame of thought and be more open to other. Just the more input you have, tendencies are, the better you'll be at finding what works best for you. Yeah, thanks for humoring my little talk there. I just find it really important. Okay, so that's preheated. We're going to use 3 grams of sencha instead. Oh, and go to different vendors, dudes. I have my favorite vendors too, but different people have different things to offer for sure. Let's see, what did I miss? I don't like looking at the camera too much when I go deep like that. It's almost like if I don't look at the camera, it doesn't happen. Introversion. Claire says about the Gongdao Bei, that was the original purpose of the Gongdao Bei. You pour the steeping into a secondary vessel, so the more concentrated tea that comes out at the end is diluted into the weaker tea. That's what we did for this one. This is the stacked 5 infusions of the first. But as we saw in the Gaiwan earlier, I'll post a picture, there's just so much tea that doesn't come out if the Gaiwan is packed. So even if you're kind of doing your best practice, living your best tea life, your design will make a big difference once you start brewing from the very beginning until the end, what's going to happen. I'll show you how different the amount of leaf is and the weight of the water. Yeah, Kung Fu Tea is here. Jeremy, welcome back. Steven, did you put more water in there?
Yeah.
Why? I want to get brewing.
Because I poured a bunch into this bowl.
Oh, Steven's just bowl brewing to the side. You having a good time, Steven? How's your tea practice today?
Great.
Steven's just having some Alishan.
You can have some.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some. Take a break. Let us know what you guys are brewing too. We got some Heicha going. We got some Sencha going. We got some Oolong going. Dude, the Alishan from I is so good. That's stupid. Really, really good. Kung Fu Tea is here. Delphine. Rachel says about our tea shop kind of... what do you call that? Tirade? What do you call it? Like a talk that goes on and on. Tea shop rants. Being able to ask questions from an actual person is so helpful. I totally agree. That's why we have the Discord, by the way. It's not meant to be like a set in stone tea resource. It's meant to be a conversation. And so I feel like even with forums, if you kind of pop in, you have to type the post and then post it, and it feels more, just more like permanent. That's why I wanted to make it a Discord instead of a forum for Tea Curious, because it's more of a conversation. If you get something wrong or someone has something small to say, like I agree 90%, but here's the 10% I want to add on. It's more conducive to that. With a forum post, I'm someone who likes to type out really long forum posts if I'm allowed to. You're gonna have like a big essay, and then the next person's like, "But I want to add something," but they already covered most things, so maybe I'm not gonna do it. But with a conversation, you can just whatever. Yeah. I'm sure someone, maybe Jeremy, is that something you guys learned in history? The difference between written and oral traditions? I'm just such a big fan of speaking in conversation with tea learning. I've just been betrayed so much by a forum post where, you know, I read in that blog post that... That's just me. Yeah. I'm a reader. But now I like just talking about tea. I learned so much like that. Onjaku Kai is here. Welcome to tea practice today. I promise we'll get some tea going once this kettle is up to speed. Just 6 more Celsius. Claire says, Sally, the only place I know around here has about 5 teas, one of which is labeled Yunnan tea. Where are you based out of, Claire? Fish Anywhere says about leafy green tea. Heck yeah, they're phenomenal. Also, I'm just putting in a larger order to get some of you guys samples of the sugar white, the Taiwanese white tea from Leafy Green. Nienke S. Becker, wish there was a tea shop nearby, but there are not many tea shops in the Netherlands. Tea shops in the Netherlands? I've never been to the Netherlands. Yeah, there were no tea shops for me in Vegas too. That's why growing up I didn't have any resource, but I think even just one visit to like a San Francisco or LA or New York tea shop for me early on would have changed things very quickly. I had Tivana actually, which was a big deal. even if they, you know, hurt me a little bit and oversold me on things, I did learn a lot from them. I'm very grateful for Tivana. Ace Lighty's back. Cav the Tea Head is here as well. Welcome back. Yeah. And then Tyler says, I've been spreading the gospel of brewing Sencha at higher temps. Hell yeah. The other day I saw a post saying, never to brew Sencha hotter than 140 F or 60 degrees Celsius. I hate that. I only hate it because I did that for so long. There were so many just blog posts pinned to my head for so many years. Like, here are the rules, and I need to follow them. You can't brew tea unless it's in a Gaiwan. If you don't have a Gaiwan, you're a casual, filthy casual. You can't brew Yensha in a Kyushu. And I'm making fun of all of this. But if you have no other information, I think it's natural. Like, it's no one's fault that happens. Like, if, you know, I've listened to all the Canadians about maple syrup. Everything the Canadians have, like, told me about maple syrup, I take as gospel, because I have no other source. Yeah. And then Tyler says, I would never have tried different water temps just looking at posts online. Yeah, it's just a different medium. I'm not trying to, like, rag on blog posts. I have a blog, right? I have that website. I do write a lot. But you need to have the conversation in it as well. And if you don't agree, like, if I wrote that in a blog post, you'd be like, Rhea's so... insert here, but I'm right in front of you, so if there's something you know, have an idea about or want to add, you can add it right here. That's just awesome. Yeah. Was Jeremy playing StarCraft? Dude, what the hell? I want to play StarCraft too. Okay, so 3 grams in a Gaiwan. Pitcher, hot water. The purpose of all of this stuff is I wanted to show you could use the same temperature water for so many different applications when you're brewing tea. Of course, you can use your kettle to, you know, set the temperature or cool the water first. But once you're confident with boiling water, you don't gotta, like, worry when you're somewhere else. Like when you're camping, you're like, oh no, can I brew my sencha at a lower temperature? You'll be able to make adjustments to your style, just given what you have. I just love that freedom. Okay, we're going to go. Yeah. So I'm actually gonna, you know, pour tea very, very gently. I don't want to over extract it like I did with the other one. This is my way to compensate for how hot the water is. It's still a sencha, right? I don't want it to become over extracted. So kind of just pouring down the side of the Gaiwan, I'm getting that kind of couple of degrees cooling. Because if I'm pouring here, I'm not hitting the leaves directly. I'm kind of like letting the water slide in, okay? Another kind of adjustment you can do, leave the lid off. And then you're not brewing it as hot of a temperature. This is going to come out a very different color than the first round of Gaiwan stuff. Ooh, my skill is not as good though. Yeah, it's a really different color. Light yellow. And then look at how easily I'm able to get all the extra water out. The other one I was like, come on guys, get the extra water out of there, because so many leaves were holding onto water and blocking the entrance to the Gaiwan. Just by reducing the leaf amount by 5 grams, okay, I'm able to have so much more control over the water flow. And then I bet, yeah, the amount of water I have on the bottom is still more than what I want, but I'm still able to, like, deal with it a little bit better. Yeah, so a little bit less. And then I'm gonna hit that. So instead of it being clumped over here, we're starting from the bottom, just so I get like that even infusion. Small adjustments you can make. And it's fun. It's fun when you're able to do stuff to your tea. It's just, you just got more freedom, you know? Freedom's good. I like freedom. We're Americans, Steven. We like freedom. Right? No?
Too much brain.
Oh, Steven. Yeah, much different color, by the way. It's still got like a, you know, nice green color, but it's not as dark as from the first round of brews we did. Yes, that's the ratio, but I'm not even steeping as quickly. I'm letting a couple more seconds go in between each steep, I feel like. Yeah. Pretty different, not as cloudy. Ooh, there's still a lot of water in there though. Okay, making sure it's tossed out. All right. So I'm kind of taking a sample from each steep to see how, you know, just to emulate how our progression would happen in real life. I don't drink tea this quickly, but I imagine, you know, you would go through a couple steeps of your tea, right? Okay, be pretty gentle, as gentle as I can when I'm pouring into the gaiwan. I am steeping faster than I usually would, actually. I think I use even less leaves than this when I'm brewing sencha in a gaiwan. I know what you're thinking. Is the gaiwan hot? Yeah, it's hot. What am I missing? Oh, people who are drinking stuff. A Sulaidi's having longing in a bowl. First time trying this method and loving it. Awesome. Yeah, we love bowl brew longing. Sometimes we'll even just do like 2 leaves of longing in a bowl, which sounds ridiculous, but good longing can have a lot of staying power. All right. Tapping it again, just so that the leaves kind of fall. And if there's anything you take away from all this stuff, it's consistency in the brewing is better. When you have all those tea leaves kind of padded up in that mound we got from the first steeping, without kind of rearranging them, some of them are brewing harder than the others. And that to me makes for a less ideal brew. Think of stir fry. You want to stir fry your vegetables pretty evenly, right? This one's very, 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 very hot. And then in between each steep, I'm making sure to pour out all of the leaf water. There's some over here still left. And I'm doing that because I hate having water at the very bottom that's over steeping my tea leaves, because the stuff at the bottom is going to be brewing a little bit less or a little bit more because of the water in the bottom. Okay, I know a lot's going on, but bear with me here, then we'll discuss what the results were as we drink. The color of the tea is getting a lot lighter. I like the clarity too. I think that the color is a lot more attractive here. It's actually green and not just like muddy looking. So I like the results a little bit better too. Oh, I'm sweating. It's a lot of work. Sencha without a filter? It's working though. This one's getting very hot though. I'm used to brewing the gaiwan, but I'm suffering a little bit. Okay, we're here. We've made it. All right, much different colors. Wow, look at the color differences, friends. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I will show you like I did the very first round. Yeah. See how like bright the color of the green is? It's not as deep of a green, but I think it's more attractive looking. Just more clarity. The leaves are not pressing against each other so much, so you're getting less of that fiber getting released into the tea, I think. It's also more green and less yellow. I felt like the first round of this sencha with more leaf was turning out more yellow than green. Just a little bit too intense, I would say. Yeah. Okay. Let's taste this. Most important thing. First steep. Yeah, pleasant. It actually has a lot of the same flavor I got from the very first steep of the first test. Fruity, buttery, lots of stuff going on. So many notes. It's very intense. There's a kind of like bitter thing going on, which I think I didn't baby the tea enough even. But it's pretty good. Yeah, just a little bit dry. I would actually drop the ratio a little bit of the green tea, to be perfectly honest. Next one, second steep. Whew! intense, but that's probably going to be the most intense one. Steep 2 of Essentia tends to be the most, all of the bitterness comes out, but it's not nearly as bitter as the first. And yes, that's because we're using less leaf, but also they're just crushing each other less, and so the brew is more clear. Nutty, you can actually taste flavor notes now compared to the high volume Gaiwan stuff. Whew. Very sweet. Wow, it's got like a nice marine kind of salty flavor. See, now that I even let this sit a little bit longer than I did for the high ratio infusions, but even with that slightly longer steeping time, because I'm pouring slower and letting it sit like a couple seconds longer, I'm still getting more enjoyment out of this because I can actually pick the flavor notes out. So I guess the point of this kind of experiment is that it's not always better to have a higher leaf ratio. I've literally seen people on like a forum be like, someone posted a video of her doing Kung Fu and she had, I think, like 3 to 5 grams. This is 3 grams here. I didn't even reduce it for my taste. And she had like 3 to 5 grams of an oolong. And then someone posted on the bottom, you're only using 3 to 5 grams? It's not enough. It's not, why even Kung Fu if you're not using 8 grams? Like, I literally saw that. And I was like, wow. That's interesting, you know? And it's those moments that I'm like, I know that person wasn't trying to be like that. They just want the other person they were trying to give advice to brew a little bit better. But the person who posted the original post was having a good time. She had a good tea session. But the only thing that the next person had to say was like, you need to up your leaf ratio. So here's my response. You don't need to up your leaf ratio. It depends on what you want to achieve. If you want to go bolder, bigger, and kind of drive a little bit more dangerous, sure, use more leaf. I will use more leaf for a tea that I know can handle it, like the Alishan Oolong from Ai, or a very, very kind of like mellow hojicha. Sometimes I'll just pack the gaiwan to get more out of it. But it's not always that you have to up the leaf ratio to get a really nice result. And then there's also other things you need to consider when you're upping the leaf ratio. That's just more than the concentration of the tea. It's the leaves and how it behaves in the gaiwan, the difficulty of controlling the water flow, how much they breathe. Yeah. Let's see how much water is in here. I'm curious to see. I'm tea curious. So we started with 3 grams, right? This one got 40 more grams of water, which was a lot. That's a lot. This one is... I hope it's less. And if it's not, I'm gonna be shocked. Wow. Yeah. This one took on 15 grams of water. That's it. So, wow. Holy crap. That's a lot more. So this one took on 40 grams of water. This one took on 15 grams of water. Okay? And that's important because it's just less weight on the tea leaves pressing each other. You know, and you have less water trapped inside that's becoming bitter as the tea is sitting because it has nowhere to go. The leaf actually has an ability to release some water here that this one could not. Yeah. I think I was also helping it retain less water by kind of shaking it in between each infusion. We did not do that with a high ratio one. Okay? So yeah, detailed stuff. I hope that this makes sense. I know that I'm not the best at explaining all these complicated concepts, but I'm trying my best. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, let's do something fun for the next one. There's 2 more we gotta get through. What, Bree? We're still doing tea? Yeah. If you ever come on one of our Taiwan tea tours, it's gonna be tea the whole time. And if you complain about it, we'll just drop you off in Taipei and pick you up at the end. But we usually don't have any issues. We'll have tea for dinner, tea for lunch, tea for breakfast. Bowl tea on the road, and then tea when we get there, tea when we get home, tea in the morning. Well, Eric will have tea in the morning. We're sleeping in way too late because we would have such long days. Making tea, processing tea, drinking bad tea, drinking good tea. Dude, there's some bad tea in Taiwan, let me tell you that. It's the bad stuff that teaches you about the good stuff sometimes. Yeah. Okay, let's say hi to friends who I have been hanging out with without saying hello to, unfortunately. Victor Sommelier is here. TNB? Yeah, TNB is here as well. Sugar Spoon, welcome. The first one wasn't actually very weak. It was actually pretty intense. You can do a lot with a little bit amount of leaf. So pretty good. It looked like it wasn't so strong, but there was a lot of flavor in it. Right, Steven? Did you try it?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of flavor, right? Brandy Wenty's here too. Elver Dadarot. And Timothy Apathea. How's it going, guys? And then Tyler is about to try some Samidori matcha for the first time. Interesting. I've never had Samidori matcha either. Yeah. Claire says, I've never been to a dedicated tea shop outside of a boba place. Should go! You should go. Just remember that when you're in a tea shop, schedule enough time to be in the tea shop. I think anyone who's ever been to any tea shop at all whatsoever knows that you might intend to be there for an hour. Multiply your intended amount of time by like 2 or 3, and then you'll be correct.
Or 4 or 5.
Yeah, or 4 or 5. Like, I'll just pop in for an hour and see what they have. And then they're like, wow, it's 8 o'clock already? I've been here since 3.
And by 8 you mean AM.
We've been up pretty late at Tea and Whisk and Friends tea shops and stuff. When I was doing tea wholesale stuff, that even happened in the business side of things. I would always have to like account for extra time when I had a business meeting, because it's just tea stuff always goes longer. And maybe that's okay in this fast-paced world. I remember I only had 1 meeting in the 4 years I had tea meetings for wholesale that went on time, and that was my friend from New York. And I was almost like, did he not like me? We finished on time? That never happens. And so I had nothing to do for 2 more hours, because I'd always just schedule an extra like 2 hours after it was going to be an hour. But New York, I figure, you know, he had somewhere to go. Nyan Becker was actually planning on going to Taiwan this summer and drink a lot of tea, but guess it won't be happening. Go in the fall. That might be better anyway, because summer in Taiwan is better when you're just indoors with the AC on. I spent last summer in Taiwan. It's pretty hot. Go in the fall. Might be silver lining there. Fantastic Clara says, I need to go to Asheville. Turns out there's a big tea culture there. Are you in Oregon? I think Portland has some good tea shops there. Or is it Asheville, North Carolina? There's 2 Asheville's. Trekkie Buddha is back. Welcome back, Joshua. And then DP Liskers. Welcome to Tea Practice today. We're on our last leg of our practice. We're going to do 2 kind of really fun ones, I think. I'm going to teach you how to brew in a kyusu very, very soft. So far we've been using pretty intense methods in the gaiwan. Kyusu soft, but using hot water, okay? So I still will preheat the kyusu. I'm using 93 degrees here. I'm gonna cover that so that it just kind of gets nice and warmed up. And let's look at the vessel, okay? So this kyusu might be different from yours. I have a round one. So my tea is gonna be here, right? When I pour out, the tea leaf is gonna go kind of like angled here. I want to make sure I don't put too much tea that they start pressing on each other, because I want to make a soft, subtle, smooth brew. Remember, the purpose of doing this is we're not just kind of throwing water at something to see what happens. We want to find ways to control the results of the tea by working with the vessel that we have and the techniques that we're using. How we pour out, how much tea we use, etc. Using the same tea. And let's say we only have boiling water because you don't have a temperature control kettle or you just want to get it done. If you want to use a cooler water for this too, no problem. But let's say you only have boiling water, right? And you're in a situation where you gotta make tea really quickly, like this Instagram live, where I don't want you to make, wait too much for me to do something. I'm going to use just enough tea to cover the bottom in an even layer. And even once I put the tea in, once you load up the teapot, I'm going to kind of tilt the teapot so that the leaves kind of go all around the inside. So instead of it just, the inside is like, has a mound like this, I'm swirling the leaves so that they're all covering the inside of the pot. You can see that now. Sort of. Yeah. They're all around the inside of the pot here. And why I'm doing that is I don't want the leaves to infuse unevenly. And when I'm going to pour onto the leaves, which I'm going to do right now, I want them to kind of slowly lift up and not crowd each other. All right? So hot water, about 95, 93 degrees Celsius. Instead of pouring directly, if I pour directly on the leaves, it's very hot, right? Really, really hot. I can wait for this to cool down, or I can tilt my lid of the Kyusu and kind of pour on this lid, kind of like face right here. And this is a variation of what we're doing with the Gaiwan, where we're pouring on the sides to kind of cool it down. This does two things. Number one, it allows me to pour water into the pot without pouring directly on the leaves. Number two, it's cooling down the water a little bit so that it's kind of dripping down and a little bit cooler than it is out of the spout. So it helps me cool down the water quickly if I'm trying to, make tea very fast without, pouring into a pitcher, waiting for it, going back and forth, which you can do too, but this is just another technique you can do. And then we're gonna just pour very, very lightly on the lid. And usually I'm just gonna go until it's done, but I just wanna check to see if they're infusing correctly. Yes, beautiful. They're infusing evenly in there. And what's happening is I'm also kind of exposing the water to whatever the clay content is in the Kyusu. And I don't know why, but it just seems to round out the tea flavor a little bit more when I pour onto the lid. I think the biggest effect is the fact that you're actually cooling down the water and you're not having to pour directly into the green tea leaves. And just drip, drip, drip. So inside the leaves aren't swirling, they're just kind of floating slowly up to the surface of the Kyusu. They're having like a nice good time in there. They're having like a spa day. Yeah, they're all evenly infusing. Yeah, it's a big Kyusu. I don't want to pour it all the way. Let us pour it into a pitcher. Now, second step, we pour it onto the lid. Looks really nice. Another thing you have to do though is how you pour out. If you poured very carefully on the pot, slowly, and then you just, you just pour really fast, like just tilt the Kyusu all the way like this, the leaves that are having a spa day in there, they're like, wow, it's so relaxing, we're having such a nice day, so gentle. They're like, wow, oh my god. So we gotta treat them gently as well. So I'm gonna tilt the pitcher and I'm going to just very slowly pour the leaves out. I want them to continue enjoying the spa day in there. And because I'm not lifting the Kyusu very high up, I'm not jostling the liquor very much. I'm just going as gentle as possible. Basically, almost no violence or, force being used here. And as I'm pouring the Kyusu out, I'm going to tilt a little bit to the side so that they don't crowd each other inside that filter. Very, very, very careful. You'll see how clear this liquor is. It's very clear. And I'll even throw out this last bit. I don't want to throw it out though. I just want to put it somewhere else. Okay. So that I just conserve the clarity. Okay, this is the Gaiwan. And this is the soft pouring style. Look how clear the result is out of the Kyusu. Okay, partially that is because I use less leaf for the water, but partially it's also how gentle I treated the tea, so there's no opportunity for the leaves to kind of spin around and over infuse and release their fibers. It's going to be a very clear, soft, sweet brew. Probably not the most punchy in the world. And then yeah, I'm just gonna check to see if they're crowding. And if I brewed the Kyusu and just kind of tilted it upside down, all the leaves would be kind of crowding around the filter. I'm not sure you guys can see that. The filter is completely clear, right? So they're not crowding. There's no kind of blockage. and all the tea is still inside on the very bottom because I tilted it a certain way. You know, sometimes when you pour the Kyusu, all the leaves are kind of like crowding. You're like, ah, we're trying to get filtered. This will hide the spotting in there. They're having a good time. Probably the leaves are the most enjoyment today. So soft. It's very, very soft. Wow, and the texture is really smooth. So it's bright, but also smooth. It's a very different result than from the Gaiwan, where you're getting most of the flavor, bam. But actually the Gaiwan has kind of this jittery, kind of rough texture because there's so much fiber from the tea leaves kind of dancing around. Because of how clear this is and how soft we brew it, there's very little, you know, cloudiness. It's very clear. But also some of the L-theanine action is going on because we drop the temperature on the lid. So it's not very bitter. Some of that thick texture from the sencha is coming out. So it's bright and thick at the same time. Very, very friendly. Let's even try it. Almost no bitterness. It's almost like an oolong. Yeah, yeah. Pretty good. I like it a lot. How else would you describe this one, Steven? It's good.
Yeah.
So very different results. So this is the Gaiwan, and this is the Kyusu. Just look at the color difference. So if you want something that's bright without sacrificing the texture of the sencha, I would highly recommend using this technique. The Kyusu also helps to kind of boost the texture of the sencha because, you know, clay pots will tend to preserve texture quite well. And that extra step where we're pouring onto the lid will just increase the kind of material effect on the tea, because not only is the tea being kind of surrounded by the material of the Kyusu, the water is also being affected by the way you're dripping onto the lid, all that material on there. I wonder if we keep doing this for 50 years, we'll start to see like little grooves down the side of the pot. I'm not sure. But I really like that technique. It's very mindful and fun and playful. Think about what you like to do with your tea too. It's just a really fun technique. Really fun. Yeah, very tasty. Really, really good. Okay. One thing though is if you are using this Kyusu, make sure that you clean your Kyusu on top. Just in case there's any like dust that has like fallen into it or anything like that. I forgot to do that today. Sometimes I'm like, it smells like my house, but today's fine. We do that quite a bit with that Kyusu. Alright. Oh, and by the way, you'll have to do that with a Kyusu that can be tilted in and dipped on. So this is going to be a little bit different. If your Kyusu has a lid like this, you have to tilt it a different way. Just make sure it has some balance. So you'll be pouring onto the side here. You can even pour all the way up if you'd like to. Just make sure that the water kind of funnels in. But yeah, I think most Kyusu should be able to do that. You can do that with the Gaiwan too. Yeah. Last one. We're green tea marathoning. We can't just do things easy here at Tea Curious, can we? There's just so many things to explore. Thanks for joining us so far. We have just one more to do. I'm getting the green tea sweats. Yeah. RB Ceramic sounds like how I like my senchas. We'll try that out. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Really, really good. Especially with the sencha you already know matches the Kyusu. It works really well. Miriam Gomez, welcome back. We're still doing our green tea practice. Last one, which I actually don't know how it's going to go. We're going to try the technique, the pour-over technique we learned from Delphine the other day, but with a sencha. The other day we tried it using Bilochan and we tried it using Darjeeling. We have not tried it with sencha yet. So we got some work for us to do today. New stuff. So basically I'm preheating this filter. I'm going to preheat the filter too. Preheat everything. Okay. Filter's on top. We're going to put the green tea leaves on the top. The filter is fine enough that the leaves won't fall into the bottom. And almost like a coffee pour over, right? We're gonna kind of bloom the tea leaves, make them just wet enough so that when we pour over them and actually start brewing, they're primed and ready to release their goodness. So I don't know how this is gonna go with sencha, We'll see the differences in just a little bit. Preheated pitcher. You could also use a mug or cup if you'd like to. And then I'm just going to put them evenly as possible so that when I work with them, yeah, I think I need just a little bit more. I don't know how much I'm using. I'm just using enough. Our friend Delphine says she uses a relatively high leaf to water ratio here. Yeah. First step, you got your filter with the leaves inside. You're going to wet it just a little bit. I'm not an expert, by the way, when I do this. I've done this like once before. Okay, just, yeah. Oh my god, it's difficult with Essentia. I'm just making everything wet. Decent job, right? And already the tea is getting filtered down into the pitcher. It's making some interesting kind of dripping sounds. That smells amazing. Wow, it smells very nutty. The same sencha over and over again, but so many different results. And then we leave that to hang out for a couple seconds, right? Is Tyler still here? Coffee people? White flag? Help! Hakuna Matata 911. Does that help summon him? Okay. Alright, then I'm going to just pour over the leaves. Trying to kind of evenly infuse them. Ooh, that filter is dripping really slowly. I'm going to let it kind of drip down. I've never done this with sencha before. I feel like that filter is getting clogged.
It's okay.
Should be okay, right? The coffee filters are very fine. I think it should be alright. We'll do 2 rounds of this. How many rounds do people do for pour over? Tyler's like, OMG, what's going on? I heard my name. Hey Tyler, are we doing this right? Tyler used to work at a coffee shop, and I think sometimes still does. He's one of those magical tea and coffee people. When you have people who kind of straddle 2 worlds, they got so much value. So I'm gonna take Tyler and be like, hey dude, are we doing this right? Ooh, I like how slow it's dripping. I didn't like it, but now that you like it, I like it too. Okay. I am using boiling water, by the way. Thank goodness the sencha can handle it. It's so satisfying hearing the sencha drip like that. Can you guys hear that too? Beep, beep, beep. It's almost like flash infusions, like very, very fast flash infusions, but instead of having to tilt the guy on, you're just letting gravity do the work for you. That pressure thing is still happening here, by the way. Those leaves are going to be pressing down on each other. But because it's such a big surface area, it's not too much. We'll do 1 more. Yeah? So 5 kind of go-overs. Trying to evenly wet all the tea leaves. It's such a nice sound. I love it. It's like rain when it stops. All of these different brewing methods have so many... They just feel different. How do you know when it's done, Tyler? It's like a baby. Yeah, Nyankas Becker, it is a very peaceful sound. So I've actually just calmed down for the first time this entire 2 hours. It's very soothing. Yeah. Hi, Nick. How's it going? Is it so late now that Australia has woken up already? We're doing some pour-over sencha with the Saimidori sencha. That's really dark. I'm scared, Tyler. That's really dark. What do I do? So I'm going to show you guys what this looks like in another picture. We have so many pictures on the table. It's very dark. I'm really scared. Tyler, help us. It's like cloudy and yellow at the same time. Does that, oh. Okay. If you can't hear it, that means you have to do it yourself. It's a very gentle kind of, it really sounds like the rain kind of dripping off a roof. Tyler, I'm scared. That looks really, really dark. Look at that. Holy crap. It's funny to compare it to the soft Kyusu infusion and the pour-over infusion. Oh my Jesus. Holy crap. Look at it. It's so dark. Wow, I'm scared. Okay. Maybe I poured over it too many times. I feel like this is an over extraction. But we're playing it around. We're playing around with it. Tyler with the really really reassuring comment. That does not look good. Lol. That's a positivity sandwich. Bad news and then good news. Laugh out loud, but it looks horrible. Yeah, it looks kind of like, you know, mango juice is a nice way to say it. That's intense, but you know, it's not as bad as I thought. Wow. I mean, I kind of wish I dropped the temperature a little bit more on the kettle. But yeah, I did 5 pours. I think 3 would work better. But besides the initial kind of like, oh, definitely one of the first Gaiwan rounds we did was a lot worse than this. It's got like a limey flavor I've never had from this tea before. Like squeezed lime. It's very fresh, citrusy. I've never had this tea like this before. Usually this tea is quite balanced and, you know, floral, fruity, savory. I've never gotten a citrus note from it before. It's very interesting. Can I dilute it just a little bit just to make it, I mean, wow. Very interesting. Hey, Steven, try it. Wow. Yeah, I think a fewer pours would have worked a little bit better.
Really good.
But yeah, it brings out a flavor profile I've never had from this tea. And it's very interesting. Yeah. Hey, Tea and Whisk, who's in here. Wow, the aftertaste is really good too. Wow. Holy crap. One thing I'll say though is that texture isn't that great. Tyler, does that make sense for coffee too? Does pour over coffee have a thinner texture? This has a thin texture, but the brightness, the complexity, the aromatics, the aftertaste is really, really compelling on it. I just want to drink more. It's scary looking, but it tastes really good. There's that initial like, oh god, don't hit me, and then it goes away, and it opens up with this like beautiful, yeah, citrusy, poppy, nice. Thanks, Tyler, for helping us. Just, you know, your moral support and guidance. Yeah, so pretty good results from the green tea pour over. We've done 6 different treatments of the same green tea. Very different results each time. Yeah. Again, this is a Sencha from Tea and Whisk who's in chat right now. Steven, which one's your favorite from all of these?
The last one.
The last one? Wow. Okay. Yeah, the last one is definitely the most interesting. I've just never tasted that before from that tea. It's very bright. So if you have a Sencha that you want to brighten up a little bit, even at the loss of some texture, yeah. And then the taste is very long and lasting. Really good. I don't know what to say about all of that. I think I'm drugged up to my gills with tea. There's a lot of tea on this table. You guys should come over and drink it for us. But Tyler says a lot of the times the body will depend on how it's filtered, paper, metal, etc. We use a ceramic filter with kind of like this paper filter on the bottom. I think it's like nylon or something like that. Nick from Slick Nebel, does anyone have an espresso machine? I want to see experiments with sencha and hojicha through an espresso machine like a Chagaman's Shizuoka. Wow, I don't have an espresso machine, but if someone does, I think Tea Epiphany has an espresso machine at home. I'd really like to see that. Yeah, I've ground oolong before and tried to do a Gaiwan style with it. Maybe I should just do oolong pour over. Tyler says again, but there's a wide range in body even with the same pour over method. Depends on the coffee, just like tea. Okay, that makes sense. I think maybe if I drop the temperature a little bit to kind of bring out less of the bitter compounds and bring, just encourage more L-theanine, which is good for body. That's why Gyokuro is so kind of like thick and luscious. Yeah, it's good. I'm happy with that result. Yeah, probably the most interesting result is this scary looking but actually quite tasty pour over sencha. The one I liked the least was the high leaf Gaiwan sencha stuff. Really interesting. I'm glad we talked about it, but suffering. Yeah. Yeah. Tyler says Earth Cafe in Vegas does matcha espresso shots. Okay. I want to try hojicha espresso shots. Anyway, for you guys who've joined us today, thank you so much for seeing us through to the end of our green tea experiments. There was a lot of tea we went through today, a lot of thoughts, a lot of brewing styles, lots of little details to pick up on. So thank you for joining us. Think about which type of technique you'd like to use in your own kind of explorations. I know there's a lot, but if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help with any detail, any tiny question. Doesn't matter to me, you know. Yeah, take a technique from today and go do it, okay? And then tell me how it went. More data, more power. We learn better together and stuff, you know. So yeah, thanks for joining us. We're gonna go lie down and kind of chase off this L-theanine high somehow. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye. Hey, wait. Nick says that hojicha is not drinkable. Dude, Nick, I thought that we were friends. What the hell, dude? Hojicha is great. We'll give you our address. You can send us a hojicha you don't like. See you guys. Oh, one more thing. Discord friends. Wednesday tomorrow means Discord hangout. So we'll see you then. See you tomorrow and for 5 more days of tea practice until day 40. Thank you. As Espresso he said. Okay, we're still friends. Thanks, Nick.